Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In the name of Allah, the most gracious and the most merciful. Welcome to my channel, The Scholar's Outlook, where you'll find the most innovative and insightful analysis on a wide range of topics. Be sure to watch the video and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to stay updated. Today's topic of presentation is Illuminating Minds, the cognitive power of Quranic similes and metaphors. Simile means Tashbih and metaphor means Isti'arah in Arabic language. Similes and metaphors in the Quran serve a scientific and cognitive purpose. They translate abstract spiritual, moral, and theological concepts into vivid imagery so that the human mind can easily grasp. By comparing unseen realities to tangible phenomena, the Quran bridges the gap between divine truths and human understanding. The use of similes and metaphors in the Quran vividly portrays the fate of believers and disbelievers, showing reward or punishment in striking terms. Through eloquent comparison, the Quran demonstrates the perfection of Allah's guidance. Listen to a beautiful blend of metaphor and simile in Surah An-Nur recited by Shaykh Al-Hudayfi. Example 1.
الله نور السماوات والأرض مثل نوره كمشكاة فيها مصباح المصباح في زجاجة الزجاجة كأنها كوكب.
Listen to the English translation. Allah is the light of the heavens and the earth. The example of His light is like a niche within which is a lamp. Listen to the linguistic analysis. Allahu nuru samawati wal ard. This is a metaphor which means direct comparison without using Arabic word ka. In English, like as, or Arabic ka'anna, in English as if. The simile in Surah An-Nur is one of the most scientifically and cognitively rich in the Quran. Think about the scientific significance of this simile. Light is a universal phenomenon. In physics, light is essential for vision, growth, and life itself. The Quran uses light as a metaphor for guidance and truth, showing that just as physical light reveals the material world, divine light reveals spiritual reality. The Arabic word mishkat, which means niche in English. A niche is a small recess in a wall that amplifies and protects the lamp's glow. Metaphorically, divine guidance is preserved, magnified, and directed into the believer's heart. Just as light reveals what is hidden in darkness, similarly, divine light reveals reality, dispels ignorance, and directs the whole creation toward righteousness. It also conveys that without Allah's guidance, the world would be in spiritual darkness. Listen to the use of simile in Surah Ibrahim, example 2.
مثل الذين كفروا بربهم أعمالهم كرماد اشتدت به الريح في يوم عاصف لا يقدرون مما كسبوا على شيء.
The Arabic word maslu, which means the example. The Arabic word karamadi, which means like ashes. When you join the meaning of maslu and karamadi, it becomes a profound simile. So the translation goes like this: the deeds of those who disbelieve in the Lord are like ashes blown away by the wind on a stormy day. It means good deeds without faith are as fragile as ashes scattered by wind. This is a very striking example of how the Quran uses natural phenomena to explain abstract spiritual truth. Ash is the residue left after combustion. It is very light, fragile, and easily dispersed. Scientifically, it has no structural integrity and cannot be reformed into its original material. This reflects how the deeds of disbeliever lack permanence and cannot be withstand divine judgment. Let me give a deeper scientific analysis. Think about the wind dynamics. A strong wind scatters ashes completely, leaving no trace. In physics, wind represents chaotic dispersal of particles. Metaphorically, this shows how foul deeds are scattered and destroyed, leaving nothing to benefit the doers. Think about the cognitive impact. The image of ashes in a storm is very vivid and universal. Anyone can imagine how quickly ashes vanish. This makes the lesson emotionally powerful. In other words, without faith, deeds have no weight or permanence. Listen to the use of simile in Surah Yunus, where worldly life is compared with rain. Example 3.
إنما مثل الحياة الدنيا كماء أنزلناه من السماء فاختلط به نبات الأرض مما يأكل الناس والأنعام إذا أخذت الأرض زخرفها حتى إذا أخذت الأرض زخرفها وزينت وظن أهلها أنهم قادرون عليها أتاها أمرنا ليلا أو نهارا فجعلناها حصيدا كأن لم تغن بالأمس كذلك نفصل الآيات لقوم يتفكرون.
Listen to the translation of just one ayah that reflects the use of simile. The example of worldly life is like rain we sent down from the sky, by which the plants of earth absorb water. Think deeply about this simile. The fleeting beauty of worldly life is compared to plants that flourish briefly after rain, then fade away. The simile that the worldly life is like rain echoes the fleeting nature of worldly life. Just like rain that falls from the sky and nourishes the plants, which then wither away. Think about the scientific significance of this simile. Water is the source of life. Modern science confirms water is essential for all living organisms. The Quran uses this universal truth to symbolize how worldly pleasure seems vibrant but are temporary. Listen to the beautiful use of simile in Surah Al-Ankabut, example 4.
مثل الذين اتخذوا من دون الله أولياء كمثل العنكبوت اتخذت بيتا وإن أوهن البيوت لبيت العنكبوت لو كانوا يعلمون.
Listen to the English translation. The example of those who take protectors other than Allah is like the spider who builds a house. But indeed, the weakest of houses is the house of a spider. This is one of the most scientifically striking metaphors in the Quran. You can feel about the structural weakness of a spider's web, which is fragile, easily destroyed by wind, rain, or a simple touch. The spider's web is not a home in human sense. It does not provide warmth or shelter. It is primarily a trap for prey, not a refuge. This reflects how false belief or alliances may appear useful, but ultimately entrap rather than protect. So, this is a simile showing the fragility of relying on false gods. Use of simile in Surah Al-Jumu'ah, example 5.
مثل الذين حملوا التوراة ثم لم يحملوها كمثل الحمار يحمل أسفارا بئس مثل القوم الذين كذبوا بآيات الله والله لا يهدي القوم الظالمين.
English translation. The example of those who were entrusted with the Torah but then failed to uphold is like that of a donkey carrying books. Wretched is the example of people who deny the signs of Allah, and Allah does not guide the wrongdoing people. Let me explain it. Just as a donkey carries books without understanding them, people who possess divine scripture but ignore its guidance gain no benefit. Thus, this condemns those who outwardly hold religious authority but inwardly neglect obedience. This simile is one of the Quran's most vivid literary devices, showing how knowledge without action is as useless as books on the back of a beast that cannot read them. Look at the use of simile in Surah Al-Araf, example 6.
ولو شئنا لرفعناه بها ولكنه أخلد إلى الأرض واتبع هواه فمثله كمثل الكلب إن تحمل عليه يلهث أو تتركه يلهث ذلك مثل القوم الذين كذبوا بآياتنا فاقصص القصص لعلهم يتفكرون.
Listen to the English translation. And if we had willed, we could have elevated him with our signs, but he clung to the earth and followed his desires. So his example is like that of a dog. If you chase it, it pants, which means breathe quickly. If you leave it, it still pants. Such is the example of the people who denied our signs. The Arabic word yalhath, which means panting. The dog is a metaphor for someone enslaved by desires. Panting represents constant craving and dissatisfaction. Thus, the verse teaches that a person who rejects divine guidance remains restless and consumed by worldly desires. Just like a dog that pants, whether chased or left alone. Look at the spiritual meaning and its cognitive impact. This verse refers to a person who was given divine knowledge but chose to abandon it, preferring worldly desire. Thus, he has degraded himself by clinging to materialism. Panting in dogs is a biological process. The Quran uses this biological fact as a metaphor for insatiable desire. In other words, if a person is too greedy, he always remains restless and unsatisfied, regardless of circumstances. Dogs pant continuously, whether under stress or at rest, because panting is the primary mechanism for thermoregulation, which means cooling the body. Unlike humans, dogs have limited sweat glands, so panting is constant in both exertion and relaxation. The Quran uses this biological fact to symbolize insatiable desire and restlessness. Look at the universality of image. Panting is a visible universal behavior of dogs, easily recognized across cultures. This makes the metaphor timeless and accessible, rooted in observable biology rather than abstract imagery. In essence, the employment of the rhetorical devices enhances the eloquence and deepens the emotive resonance of Holy Qur'an. These rhetorical devices create cadence and hence enhance memorization. This is the reason a small child successfully memorizes the Holy Quran at early age. One of the youngest children reported to have memorized the entire Quran is Abdul Rahman Farih, a boy from Algeria who completed the memorization at the age of 3. Other examples include Ruqayatu Fatuhu Umar, a Nigerian girl who has memorized the entire Quran at 3 years and 8 months, and Muhammad Shamsuddin Ali, a Nigerian boy who memorized the Quran at age 3. In conclusion, we can say that the Quran's rhetorical devices such as metaphor and simile are not just stylistic flourishes, they deepen meaning, stir emotion, and make divine truths logically understandable and unforgettable. Thank you very much for listening with patience.